and welcome back to my channel. I'm Claire and I'm so happy that you're here. If you're new here, please like and subscribe to this channel. I am an American expat living overseas in Thailand and just sharing my life here on this channel and what's important to me, intentional living, healthy living, and yeah, just sharing that with you guys. So please give this video a like if you want to see more. So today, as you can see from the title, I'm going to be sharing my birth story. So there's a certain niche of the world that is passionate about this and that care about this topic, and a big chunk of doing this video is actually for myself. Right after I had my daughter, I had told Garrett a week later, hey, I want to sit down and just like record a video of us sharing our experience and just like keep it for ourselves. Yeah, we never got around to doing that. I journaled a bit, just like what I was feeling and things like that, but never made it to making this video, and so now it is a year later, so it's been a minute, but I'm really happy to just be sitting down sharing my experience with you guys, but also like to be able for me to have this to look back on years later. So if you're interested in my birth story overseas in Thailand, keep watching. Where to even begin? I feel like I gotta keep this short and condensed, but it's like so many emotions like when I talk about it. So here's the story of how I had my first child overseas in a foreign country during a pandemic. My midwife was not able to make it, my family wasn't able to make it, and there was complications during the birth. So here's the story of how Amelia Robert got into the world. When I became pregnant, we were still quite new to Thailand, and we just started going to the local hospital, like one of the nicer hospitals. I think that kind of made family nervous, like where are you going to be, you know, like there's really great quality hospitals here in Thailand. Actually, a lot of people travel around the world to have surgeries here because it's quite inexpensive, but like they're really talented surgeons and things like that. So the hospitals, they have some really amazing ones. So I did have that option to birth in a hospital. Just making that clear, because some people were like, I'm so happy you had a good experience like at home, like that's all I had. No, it was like a choice for me to have a home birth. So when I became pregnant, we just started going to these.
Guess who's up from her nap?
Okay, I'll do this later. I was trying to finish before you woke up, but I just got started. Can you say hi? You have to say it's good.
No.
I had always loved the idea of having a home birth, and Garrett is actually the one who, he just looked at me, he said, you want a home birth, why are we talking about a hospital? And I just said, we're in Thailand, like it just looks different. And he's like, why? And I'm just like so thankful for Garrett, because that's so true to who Garrett is he's always redirecting me, like having me refocus in. He's like, hey, that's not what you wanted, or why are you doing this, or didn't you say, like even right now, I'm like, oh, Millie woke up, let me not do the video. He's like, make it work, like do it with Millie. So yeah, I'm looking back, I'm just so thankful. It really just, I think I was not even 10 weeks and he's like, let's start researching, let's start reading. I know this is what you wanted to do. He's like, I want to do this, like let's make it happen. That was our decision to having a home birth. So then I started researching like crazy midwives that travel. I became pregnant in August of 2019, and Millie was due in May of 2020. So now that we have COVID times and all that, you can kind of think like 2019 wasn't a problem for traveling. Read some books, okay? This is where we found our amazing midwife, Augustine Colebrook, and she is seriously phenomenal. Anybody out there looking, I know it's weird times with COVID and travel and things like that, but it does seem to be getting better. If you are looking for a midwife, contact her. I will be putting her YouTube account in the description below, where you can check out some of her videos. Super educational, and she actually leads a group of women, different spots all over the world, just teaching the art of midwifery and things like that. Like I was saying, I just feel so blessed that we crossed paths. So she is a very vital piece in this story and how Amelia came into the world. Done for the day. Millie's sewing a bit. Hello again. Oh, it's a new day. As you can see, I was trying to film this, like I was saying the other day, wanting to have a home birth and living in Thailand let me rephrase that. Thailand did not change the kind of birth that I wanted to have. I went back to my roots. I remembered in high school when I told Garrett I want to have a natural birth, and we just said, okay, being in Thailand doesn't need to change that. Let's make this happen. So that's where we started to research, and we found Augustine Colebrook, and I'm going to tag her, like I said, in the description below. You need to check her out for any midwifery. So informative and packed with information and very educational for anybody out there just wanting to learn more or how to support, you know, your friend or your sister or like whatever that looks like. If you're having a baby, like even if you plan to be in a hospital, she just gives you a lot of valuable education that I think every pregnant woman should be informed with. So we had found Augustine. She was just this like gem. I just told Garrett every day, like, pinch me, like, is this real? I can't believe we've like stumbled upon her and found her. So we had booked her flights to come out here, live with us a month before Millie was born, closest to when I was going to give birth. And then in January, the pandemic hit. So like I said, Thailand didn't affect the kind of birth that I was wanting, but the pandemic did. So she just said, I don't think I'm going to be able to get to you. You know, borders started locking down, Thailand started locking down. I then realized my family wasn't going to be around. It probably wasn't until I was 7 months pregnant was it official that, okay, Augustine isn't coming. You know, my parents, like my family's not going to be here to witness this birth. So, you know, we're faced with these decisions. Do we go back to America where it's safe, where it's comfortable? Do we end up going to the hospital? And during this time, we were met with a lot of choices that we had to make. Along my pregnancy, I was going to the hospital for checkups here and there. They were doing a few ultrasounds and just weighing, and like one time I had to get my blood taken, like all these things. So I was seeing a doctor, like I was making sure that Millie was healthy, that I was healthy, like everything was safe, because that was a priority to me. If I was going to be laboring and delivering in my home, I just wanted to know like if everything's going to a doctor, getting checkups. But then Augustine, I began to have Zoom consultations with her where I'd set up the camera and she'd walk me through how to feel my belly, how to feel where the head is, you know, all these things. And it was fascinating. We'd walk through for 30 minutes. She would just educate me on, okay, you're going to start to feel like this. Now, if you start to do this, and you might feel pain here, this, and why don't you make sure you're eating this food? So like nutrition, what to prepare for, what is to be expected, like how to prepare for breastfeeding, like all these things. She's just amazing. She's a gem. Augustine, I love you. I hope you watch this video and you can just hear me bragging about you the whole entire time. Anyway, so we were doing Zoom consultations and appointments, telemedicine. I know that became huge during COVID time, and I'm so thankful for technology and available to us in our world right now. 6 or 7 months pregnant, we had a very serious conversation. I said, Augustine, I'm nervous to give birth at home without you being present. It's my first child. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what's normal. I think I need to go to a hospital. That's where I'm going to feel most comfortable. And I was crying because it's not where I feel most comfortable. I didn't want to give birth in a hospital. I didn't want that. And Augustine just said, you know, you guys can still have a home birth without me there. There is such thing as an unassisted home birth. And we both are like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Like everyone's going to judge us, you know? And she said, why don't I take the next few months and educate you two on what to do if this happens, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like all the scenarios. We decided around 7 months that we are going to prepare for a home birth. We're just going to continue with that, whatever that may look like. So get to the day where I finally go into labor. It was May 19th, and I told Garrett, out of all the days, it can't be May 19th because our power was out in our house. In our housing complex, the whole like community, they were shutting off the power to work on the electric one. They were doing some electrical thing, and so our power was out all day. Okay, I live in Thailand and it is hot here, okay? So like you can't even sleep without your aircon on. Like there's no, oh, it didn't turn on the AC today. No. So I told Garrett, okay, I guess I'm gonna have the baby in the car with the AC. Like that's how much I wanted an intervention-free, medical-free, like natural birth. Is I was like prepared to give birth in a car. I guess I could have gone to my friend's house, but whatever. So May 19th, we went to the mall that day, and I'm like hecka pregnant. Went to the mall that day and we walked for hours. The mall here is like this huge AC conditioned building. And so we went there during COVID times and we just like walked around and around for hours. And then we came home around 4:30. The power had just came on and I just told Garrett, I'm gonna go lay down and like take a nap. Not even 5 minutes later, I got up and I was like, oh, I think I'm having a contraction. Like, and you know, you have a few off and on like leading up to labor or whatever, but I was like, oh, I feel a contraction. I'm blown away at how fast things picked up. I was not expecting this. I have a contraction, or I have another contraction, 20 minutes later I have another contraction, and they were intense. They were intense. And Augustine had coached us on, you know, when things progress, the consistency of things, your breath, you know, how you breathe through them, like how your body will start to progress. And I felt that within the next hour and a half, like things progressing. I think it was 2 hours and they were getting closer and closer and closer together and the contractions were lasting longer. And I just said, text Augustine, I think it's happening. Like, I don't believe this is false labor. Which again, I'd never done this before. How do I know? How do I know it's false labor or not? But I just felt my body picking things up. So we had 2 friends at our house. I had my friend Coralie and my friend Nancy. They weren't crazily involved in my laboring process, but I do remember them there when it was time to deliver Millie, and I'll share more about that. So I'm trying to remember the timeline, but I do remember that all total, I was in labor for 7 hours. Like, my Millie came quick and things progressed very quickly. Augustine had coached me a lot on my breath and breath control and how to breathe through contractions, and so I did that for my 7 hours of labor. That was insanely helpful to me and a really valuable tool that I'm really, really grateful for. And you guys want to know something so crazy, okay? So off and on throughout my laboring, we would Zoom call Augustine, and she would just want to listen to my breath, and she just wanted to hear me go through a contraction. And this girl, like, you know, she's legit. When I told Garrett, like, I am progressing, like, this is like getting intense, like, I don't feel like I really feel like I'm dilated. There's no midwife there, there's nobody there checking me, seeing if I'm dilated or not. And so Augustine told Garrett, okay, put the phone up to her mouth and I want to hear her go through and breathe through a contraction. And so she did this through, you know, 2 or 3 contractions, and Augustine with full confidence said, okay, I believe Claire's 6 centimeters dilated. You know, you're gonna see your baby in a few hours. And I don't really remember that crazy. I just remember being like, oh, my feelings are correct. I am progressing. I'm not like at 1 centimeter and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy, right? So like that was reassuring. I remember that, but I just remember being amazed that she could tell that I was 6 centimeters dilated off of my breathing. So I think that's when I transitioned to the tub and I filled that up. Here's a picture there. I filled that up and I labored in there for a while, I labored in the tub and I was going through transition. So transition is anywhere between like 7 to like 9 to 10 centimeters dilated. And so I just remember I was in the tub off and on for a while and they were filling it up with buckets of hot water from the stove. You know, most people who have a water birth, it's a very relaxing and pain relieving experience, but I just felt really uncomfortable with the way I was sitting. I just felt like I needed to get on the bed so when I got to the bed, and I told Garrett, I feel like I need to push. And Augustine again wanted to hear my breath over the phone, and she said, if you feel like you need to bear down, and that's what it is, to bear down and prepare your body to start pushing, let's see. On all fours, and I started to push, and we went through a few contractions like that, and maybe like 30 minutes, and Augustine said, something's wrong. And she told us, something's not right. I think there's a small complication. And in that time, I don't ever remember panicking. I don't ever, you know, I know Garrett has said like he was nervous in that moment, but I just remember really not having a lot of fear in this whole experience. I had the complication of a cervical lift. When a woman is pregnant and she's dilating, she's opening up like this. One part of my cervix wasn't opening fully. And so when Millie was her head, when my body was pushing her head out, she was getting stuck. And so this was the complication. Augustine is on the Zoom and she's like, okay, Garrett, she's super calm. Garrett's calm. And she's like, I'm gonna walk you through this. And I thought it'd be really cool to have Garrett come in and share his experience of what it was like when he helped me with this complication with bringing Millie into the world. So, okay, because of this crazy complication that we had, I would really like you guys to hear Garrett's perspective, since he was like I keep saying, like my mid-husband in this whole experience. And so this was a really positive experience for me, but also for Garrett. So I just wanted him to like share a little bit from like his perspective, like as a husband, as a dad. Yeah, specifically the cervical lip.
Okay, so we are, Claire's progressing, and she's transitioning into, I think, the final steps of her, of labor, and she's almost to the spot where she needs to start pushing, and the midwife just on the phone seemed a little hesitant, and so she was pretty sure that Claire had a cervical lip, and so I remember her telling us on the phone, okay, I think Claire might have a cervical lip, which kind of made me nervous a little bit. Because we knew what a cervical lip was. We had watched a few videos of like of home births where ladies had cervical lips, and we knew that it was going to be a lot.
And like researched it and stuff, and
we knew it was going to be a lot of pain. We knew it was going to be difficult to push. So the midwife just says, okay, Garrett, like you can move the cervical lip, and I was like, what? So our midwife was amazing. She walked me through everything. Do you want me to share in detail what that was like, or no?
Just like the PG version.
So the midwife just says to go in, and she walks me through what I'm feeling. Amazingly, she like everything she said was exactly what was going on. And so then she just says to grab the cervical lip, and just it needed to pull that back over the top of Millie's head so that Claire could push.
Say pull up towards my belly button?
She said pull up towards Claire's belly button as hard as you can.
Yeah.
And I said as hard as I can, and she said yes, as hard as you can. And I said okay. So
that was the most painful part.
Yeah. It seemed like it for sure.
Yeah.
So I think we did Claire went through 3 contractions with me pulling back the cervical lip, and at that final one, Millie just popped right through it. And
easy peasy.
Yeah, no problem.
No.
And out came Millie. But it was crazy. It was a crazy experience, and I was really nervous going into the birth. Just not sure what my part would be, not sure what part I would play in it, but I did want to be a part of it. I really wanted to be involved. I wanted to help as much as I could. And I was way more involved than I ever thought I would be. And as much as Claire went through so much pain with that, and as much I would not like her to ever have to go through another cervical lip, in a weird way, it was amazing to be a part of bringing Millie into the world in a way that I don't think most husbands get to do. And so it was actually like really special to have an actual part to play to get Millie here. So yeah, it was amazing. I don't know if she's said this already, but like I'm absolutely 100% super pro home birth. I was super nervous about it when Claire and I started researching it, but as I started to educate myself more, read some books, read Ina May, she's amazing. As I started to just read and educate, I started to realize that in a lot of ways, it's actually more safe to have a birth, maybe not necessarily at home, but not intervened by doctors when there's not an emergency.
I'm not
and
sure
when the woman and the baby are healthy and having a normal pregnancy up to the point of birth. If a woman's in that category and you don't have any family history, there shouldn't be interventions. A woman was created by God to be able to push a baby out, and I believe that. And so, yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily, maybe not say like it's more safe to have it at home. It depends on what type of birth you're going for. Like if you're wanting intervention free, like medication free, like complete natural birth, like it's just so hard to find that in hospitals.
Right.
Where they don't, birthing centers, home birth, so. Yeah, Garrett talks about birth like way more than I do.
I do. I'm a huge proponent of natural birth, home birth, birthing center births. And so for all of you wives out there who want to have your baby at home and your husband's
maybe we'll
nervous
do like
or maybe like not for it.
Q&A.
Yeah, just send them our way.
Maybe.
I'll talk them into it. I'll talk them into it.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I hope you guys enjoyed hearing Garrett's perspective on the cervical lip. Yeah, pretty much my side was amazed at how calm Garrett was during it, and I had full confidence that he was going to be able to perform what she was walking him through. And yeah, I was just like amazed that he was able to do that and be such a big piece into bringing Millie into this world. Garrett was like, she was born and she slipped right out. No, not so much pressure. The ring of freaking fire, like holy cow, that's no joke. But something that my midwife had coached me on was breathing out your baby. You're not gonna like every movie out there that's like push, you know? So my midwife really taught me the practice of breathing out your baby when you go through those few contractions, not wanting to push, but it's very natural for the baby to come out. You don't need to push really hard during that ring of fire. And I just, with every bit of me having the utmost self-control to not push because it's a very natural urge, I just, in the moment, it was not that pretty, but so during the time of me breathing out the baby, when I was going through those final contractions of pushing out Millie and breathing her out as her head was being born, I had my friend Nancy. So I was laying on the bed and I had my leg up on Garrett's shoulder as he's pulling back my cervical lip. I have my friend Nancy pushing on my hip, and she's patting me down with a cold washcloth. And then I have my friend Coralie who's zooming, holding the phone up so the midwife can see everything that's going on. And it's seriously, I have it ingrained in my mind forever. It was such a special moment, and like my friends being involved and like being so close to like meeting Amelia for the first time. Garrett just being this like amazing dad that he is and husband. Breathed out for about 3 to 4 contractions and Millie's head was born, and then from there one push and then she was out. And Garrett caught her and he put her right onto my chest and like, I'm so happy. You're so tiny, I'm so happy. Just the adrenaline hit. I mean, watching old videos, we have a few videos, and my whole body is shaking, and I'm like, I literally am like, we're done? Like what? Like, I was not expecting 7 hours. I was expecting like the most awful pain I've ever been in my life, and it was the most painful thing I've ever done in my life, but it wasn't this just like near death experience. And I feel like media and even like some friends and like Hollywood like really portrays birth to just be this like gruesome like thing, and I just remember being like, that we're done, like, and I remember just looking at Garrett and I'm like, you did that. Like, it wasn't even like, oh, I just pushed out a baby. Like, I was like, you put back the cervical lip. Like, he was so in tune with me the whole entire time, and he was like so confident and comfortable, and I just am seriously so thankful for his support during this whole experience, and I'm really blessed that we had a really great experience and everything like went fine. And if you have a healthy baby and you're a healthy mama, healthy baby, I truly believe that you can too have this experience, and I can't guarantee that it's gonna be 7 hours. Like, looking back, I still can't believe I like pushed out a baby in 7 hours. I was expecting days, so I feel like that mindset, that was a huge surprise to me. But we weighed her here. Here in the pictures you can see like Garrett's measuring her and we're weighing her for the first time, and she had a poopy diaper pretty soon after she was born. But one of the best things about having a home birth was after I birthed the placenta, I just stood up, you know, maybe like an hour later, and I went to the shower, took a shower, Garrett took a shower, and we just like got back in bed and snuggled with Millie for like days upon days after that. And that was like a piece that I loved about having a home birth, was we could just like get in bed right after, and like we're already home. And so I'm so thankful for this experience, and I really truly believe that if you're wanting a home birth or interested, that this video was helpful to you, or you can just look at me and call me crazy, like whatever. A huge shout out to Augustine Colebrook. Again, please check out her YouTube channel. She seriously couldn't have done this without her, and she's just like a very pivotal piece in this experience, and I'm so thankful for the education that she's given Garrett and I and all the other women that she's helping out and achieve their dream birth. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I think it'd be really cool to do a birth Q&A with Garrett and just answer some of your guys' questions. I know a question I get often is, how did I get Garrett on board? And so if you want him to answer that and some of his hesitations and thoughts on the topic, we'd love to do that. So thank you so much for tuning in today and listening to this video. And I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.